And the others at 6 o'clock on Eyewitness News. We'll see you tomorrow. Here's CBS.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. A first-of-a-kind federal investigation into whether the nation's largest airline is fit to fly. Federal aviation officials today announced a probe of Texas Air, operator of 6 airlines, including Continental and Eastern. More heavy fines were imposed on Eastern Airlines today. This comes amid rising worry over the effects of deregulation on what was once great American airline safety and service. CBS News correspondent Peter Van Sant reports on the flying public's latest cause for concern.
In an unprecedented announcement which raises serious safety questions about the nation's largest airline company, the federal government this afternoon levied another major fine against Eastern Airlines for maintenance and safety violations and announced a special investigation of Texas Air, Eastern's parent company, to determine whether it is fit, willing, and able to continue operating.
To make sure that we can make the American people comfortable with the fact that they're operating safely and that they're meeting all the legal requirements.
Eastern today was fined $823,000 for safety violations. In one instance, the FAA said Eastern flew one airplane with faulty engines in a careless manner which endangered the lives and property of others on the aircraft. The FAA announced a special 30-day investigation of Eastern in which all of the airline's 267 planes will be inspected. The Department of Transportation also announced a special inspection of Texas Air and its management, which lost $466 million last year.
I want to be sure, based on the results of these inspections, that Eastern deserves the confidence of the public and FAA as a safe carrier fully capable of meeting and maintaining its operating obligations.
A spokesman for Eastern Pilots says the in-depth inspection should reveal even more problems.
I think it'll show just what our pilots have been reporting, that there have been shoddy maintenance practices, that there have been too many deferred maintenance items.
There's real evidence of real problems, and they're very serious problems, and they're far-reaching.
Eastern officials say they welcome the inspection and complain the government is picking on them.
Public investigation will also show unfair and disparate treatment of Eastern Airlines compared to other airlines in how the FAA has affixed fines.
2 years ago, Eastern received a record $9.5 million fine for thousands of safety violations. Federal officials are worried that both Eastern's airplanes and Texas Air's management of Eastern may both be in need of repair. Peter Van Sant, CBS News, Atlanta.
The U.S. economy. Are these boom times or boom times heading for a bust? The background for that question is an upbeat view of the nation's economy from President Reagan and a sharp jump reported in retail sales. Some analysts continue to warn we are not yet out of the shadow cast by Black Monday's stock market crash. CBS News business correspondent Ray Brady has been looking into these conflicting signals.
This is what's keeping the economy moving forward. Americans are in the stores again, buying clothes, TV sets, linens, shopping carefully perhaps, but still spending money and seeming to feel good.
I'm buying clothing. I'm also looking at replacing my kitchen.
I have a lot of confidence in the economy. I think there was an adjustment, and I feel we're into some better times.
Today's increase in retail sales marks the 5th straight month consumers have bought more at the stores. In a speech to young businessmen this morning, President Reagan predicted more good times to come.
If we can continue the pro-growth policies of the last 7 years, I believe that the next decade will be known as the Roaring 90s.
The retail figures were helped by Easter shopping and by all those rebates from the car companies. Except for very high-priced imports, rebates had buyers in auto dealer showrooms across the country.
They just come in here and they plunk the money down and they drive out.
Forgotten seems to be this, the great stock market crash of 1987. It cost investors $1 trillion in losses, and it brought predictions of a recession just around the corner. But most Americans didn't have that much money in the market.
The very wealthy people who really did lose some money in the crash are not going out and buying BMWs anymore. But the rest of the country seems to just sort of be letting it go right on by.
The shock waves are over. We find now that our customers don't even talk about that.
Some economists remain wary. They say the stock market is following a pattern eerily similar to that of 1929. and that the current recovery in stock prices may not last.
I wouldn't be surprised if we find ourselves in a recession sometime this year.
Other economists warn all this buying could bring back inflation, but consumer spending makes up a major part of the economy, and as long as consumers are confident, the economy seems likely to keep moving ahead. Dan?
Thanks, Ray. 250 more U.S. Marines were flown into Panama today for what the Pentagon insists is only a training mission. The Panamanian regime of General Manuel Noriega calls it the build-up to an invasion. Earlier, U.S. troops opened fire for the second time in 2 days against what they suspected were Noriega's men. It happened at an oil storage facility near a U.S. airbase. Juan Vasquez is on the scene.
U.S. military spokesman said today this heavily guarded underground fuel depot was the scene last night of a firefight involving 100 Marine sentries and a reported 40 to 50 armed intruders. The night before, a Marine sentry was accidentally shot to death by a fellow Marine at the same place as they searched for trespassers. In the latest incident, the shooting lasted 2 hours and involved the use of mortars. Although no casualties were reported, U.S. officials insisted the intruders were real enough.
There was soundings of weapons, and there was also muzzle flashes. So at that time, when they felt like they were being fired upon, they returned the fire.
Today, Marine patrols were sent out to look for evidence that might help to determine who the intruders were and what they wanted.
Unos Marines nerviosos.
In an interview today, General Noriega derided the Marines as nervous and fearful and said they were firing at palm trees. The incidents have raised the tension in what was already a distant relationship between American and Panamanian forces, who are required by treaty to work with each other instead of against each other. After Panamanian intelligence paraded this man out Sunday and called him a confessed spy for the U.S. military, American officials were forced to concede that he was a low-level contact. Government television now routinely broadcasts propaganda warning that American soldiers intend to invade Panama. Uniformed American troops, routinely confined to military bases, are now highly visible in Panama City streets. And yesterday, 6 of them were detained for 8 hours by Panamanians. U.S. officials say such acts of harassment are on the increase. U.S. officials attribute the increased American presence to an effort to improve security at military installations. But Noriega supporters at rallies like this fear the increased friction is merely a prelude to conflict. Juan Vasquez, CBS News, Panama City.
The hijacked Kuwaiti airliner is on the ground in Algiers tonight, its third airport setting in 9 days of terror, threats, and murder. Algerian officials today expressed hope for some kind of peaceful solution. CBS News correspondent Bill McLaughlin is on the ground.
What the terrorists call the flight of the martyrs continued tonight on a runway at Algiers airport. The Kuwaiti jumbo jet, carrying 32 hostages and, say intelligence sources, perhaps more than a dozen pro-Iranian terrorists, was allowed to fly here early this morning by Algerian authorities. There were hopes this meant that the Algerian regime, which has been involved in many hostage crises over the past several years, had some magic formula to end the terror. Just after dawn, Algeria's interior minister went aboard the plane alone and met with the terrorists and the hostages. Later, the Algerian minister said the terrorists were calm, but still clinging to their main demand: release of the hostages only in return for the release of 17 members of the same terror gang now jailed in Kuwait. It's believed the terrorists are led by experts. Intelligence sources say the leader of the hijackers is one of the Middle East's most deadly men, Imad Fayez Mughniya, the brains behind the bombing of the U.S. and French embassies and Marine barracks in Beirut, and a close ally of Iran's Ayatollah Khomeini. Kuwait's Minister for Foreign Affairs led a high-level delegation to Algiers today and expressed the hope that his Algerian brothers would do what he called the necessary things to end the crisis. But there are no signs tonight of any movement. Food and fuel went out to the plane as one of the terrorists passed the time by dangling by his feet out of an emergency hatch atop the jumbo, trying to cover up the Kuwaiti flag on the side of the jet.
Algerian sources admit that if they do not end this tragedy here, especially after having invited the plane to Algiers, they'll lose much credibility throughout the world. They indicate that their tactic now is to wait out the hijackers, to wear the terrorists down until they come to believe that the continued holding of Flight 422 is more trouble than it's worth. Bill McLaughlin, CBS News, at Algiers Airport.
A dozen hostages who were freed last night in Cyprus talked with reporters today. CBS News correspondent Mark Phillips reports from Kuwait.
Relieved but exhausted, the 12 hostages released in Larnaca last night arrived in Kuwait this evening. Amid weary embraces, they told horror stories of their treatment. Some had recounted their ordeal before they left Cyprus.
They said they will kill you. They said all the time, kill you, kill you, kill you. Stop talking, kill you. Not eating, kill you. Not drink, kill you. Sit down, kill you.
The bodies of the 2 hostages who were killed were flown back to Kuwait on the same flight. Relatives grieved over the coffins as they were loaded onto hearses. The hostages spoke of the airplane doors being wired with explosives to deter any attack from outside. One hostage with dual American-Egyptian citizenship told of hiding his U.S. passport for fear of being killed. Throughout the day here, Kuwaitis were glued to their TV sets watching for developments. Many expressed concern even over the minor concessions, like supplying fuel, that have already been made. The hijackers, they say, should be brought to justice.
An eye for an eye, okay? Okay, and the teeth for the teeth. You pull your teeth, I pull your teeth. That's it. Kill with a kill.
On the Radio Kuwait phone-in show today, callers echoed that sentiment. From around the Gulf, they called in to support the Kuwaiti hard line of not releasing the 17 prisoners held here for terrorist crimes, as the hijackers demand.
The ball now is in the hijackers' playground.
There is a continuous propaganda barrage on radio and TV here, including tearful interviews with people supporting the government stance. But along with the welcoming scenes this evening and the brave talk, there is concern for those still on the plane. Many people came out saying they had no news of relatives who remain hostage.
Up to now, no.
With each passing day of the hijack drama, each day of the relentless repetition of the Kuwaiti hard line, the pressure is mounting here not to offer concessions to the hijackers, but to stand firm and wait them out. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Kuwait.
Still to come on the CBS Evening News, Deborah Potter on shocking testimony about foster homes, and Eric Ingberg on an actress who has her critics for taking speech lessons.
The nominees for Best Actor in a Motion Picture are
How long do you think grape nuts will stay crunchy in milk?
Longer than I want to wait.
Have a little patience.
I'd rather have a little grape nut cereal, thank you.
Come on, wait. This is for science.
Oh, this is for science.
That's right.
We know how you love shrimp.
It's the once-a-year Red Lobster Shrimp Festival, featuring the shrimp sampler and our enormous shrimp feast. Platters start at just $6.95. Kids for just $1.95. Now that's a shrimp festival.
We know how you love shrimp.
The Red Lobster Shrimp Festival.
Try the Shrimp and Crab Feast, Friday, Saturday, and now Sunday, just $10.95.
Guess what?
After all this time, it's still crunchy.
I'm still nutty.
Because it's grape nuts.
You think I'll still be crunchy after the show?
Are you grown up enough to wait that long? I didn't think so.
Post Grape Nut Cereal, the one and only.
Which personal computer is the best for your small business? Which runs the programs small businesses are using today? Word processing, spreadsheets, and runs them fast with better graphics.
No hurry.
And will grow with your business and work with your other PCs.
Got it.
Simply today's fastest selling computer.
No problem.
The IBM Personal System 2 family.
After you.
At your IBM authorized dealer.
1 week and counting to the New York Democratic presidential primary. Albert Gore today hammered away at Michael Dukakis. Gore tried to make the most of Dukakis' comments about possibly dropping the bomb on the Soviets if they attacked Western Europe. Gore's latest line of attack on Dukakis comes amid widespread talk that unless Gore gets a good showing in New York and starts proving that he is a national candidate, he's a goner. CBS News correspondent Phil Jones reports on Gore's need to score.
Senator Albert Gore lashed out today at frontrunner Michael Dukakis' competence in foreign affairs. Gore attacked Dukakis for reportedly indicating he would advocate a nuclear first strike if the Soviets invaded Western Europe.
It is a mistake. It is irresponsible to publicly state we'll launch our missiles and trigger nuclear war under these circumstances or those circumstances.
The policy I expressed yesterday has been the policy of our government for years under administrations of both parties, and is the policy of the NATO alliance.
Gore has tried to make his 12 years of congressional defense and foreign policy experience his issue. This moderate to conservative strategy worked well in the South. Gore won 7 states.
Those of you who've been in the Gore Corps, get ready to head north. We're going to win this thing!
But since Super Tuesday, Gore's Southern strategy has not traveled well. He hasn't won 1 state, 1 congressional district.
They made a determined effort in early 1988 to become the candidate of Southern politicians, and it's had a self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, that's exactly what it's become.
Critics claim Gore has been tinkering with his strategies and positions. Here in New York, he's accused of pandering to Jewish voters.
He started off trying the Southern strategy. He shifted to appeal to the more conservative group on defense issues, so he had the defense strategy, and then he had the economic populism strategy. When he saw that Dick Gephardt was being successful with that, he jumped on that one. And in New York here, he's trying the Jewish strategy.
Al Gore hasn't done that. All through his career in the Congress, he's been a steadfast, strong supporter of Israel.
Gore is having trouble raising money, even though he walked away with more than $300,000 from this New York fundraiser last night. So far, Gore has raised more than $10 million, including federal funds. Yet, he's had to borrow more than $1.5 million in campaign loans to keep going. Gore insists he will remain in the race regardless of what happens in New York. But many Democratic strategists outside the Gore campaign say New York could be the end of the road for 40-year-old Gore, that a third-place finish won't be good enough, and if he stays in, he may be perceived as a spoiler, an image that could ruin any chance to run for the presidency in the future. Phil Jones, CBS News, New York.
To caucus tonight, one endorsement by Puerto Rico's Governor Rafael Hernandez Colon, and most likely the 55-member convention delegation the governor will control. The first public comment from President Reagan today about the revelation of his former spokesman Larry Speaks about the practice of faking quotes for President Reagan, including making a quote up at the 1985 Reagan-Gorbachev summit that was reported worldwide. CBS News White House correspondent Bill Plant has Mr. Reagan's reaction, this time in his own words.
President Reagan today heatedly denied that he knew anything about the fake quotes put out in his name by former spokesman Larry Speaks during the first summit meeting with Mikhail Gorbachev.
I was not aware of that and just learned it recently, as all the rest of you did, and the words in his book, and I can tell you right now that I have no affection for these kiss-and-tell books that are being written, and I find them entirely fiction.
Newspaper editors also asked the president about another assertion in Speaks' new book, that Mr. Reagan doesn't read newspapers thoroughly.
Well, I begin with the comics, and lifetime habit, and then my next turn is to the editorial pages.
Mr. Reagan also made his most extensive comments yet on the 1988 presidential campaign. He moved just a bit closer to an endorsement for Vice President George Bush, lavishly praising Bush's role in the fight against drugs. And he worried that among Democrats, more attention is being paid to Jesse Jackson's race than to his message.
A great many of us would find ourselves in great disagreement with the policies that he is proposing, and would perhaps be more vocal about them if it wasn't for concern that be misinterpreted into some kind of a racial attack.
It was the first time Mr. Reagan has criticized any Democrat by name in this campaign, but the question that remains is whether any presidential campaign role will translate into votes for Vice President Bush. Bill Plant, CBS News, the White House.
This is the all-new Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, and this is the new Cutlass Supreme game going on right now. Game brochures are at your Oldsmobile dealer or participating McDonald's. Understand so far? Good. Play the Cutlass Supreme game. You could win an all-new Cutlass Supreme SL or $1,000 in cash, and you'll get a coupon for cash back on a new Cutlass Supreme. Game pieces are at your Olds dealer. You should go there. Any question? Good.
Anne McKenzie, interior decorator for Endust. Does your furniture have wax buildup? Well, using spray wax too often can cause wax to build up and trap dirt. Use it only occasionally to polish. For day-to-day cleaning, use N-Dust. It has no wax buildup. Look, after cleaning your best with spray wax, spray N-Dust. If your cloth gets dirty, you've got wax buildup. So use spray wax only for occasional waxing. Use N-Dust for day-to-day cleaning.
Now for indigestion, gas, introducing new extra strength Malox Plus. It neutralizes more than any leading antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as new extra strength Malox Plus.
What's the best kind of fruit? The kind that's fresh, moist, and plump. That's why Sunsweet are my favorite kind of pitted prunes. Moist, plump, and fresh. Sunsweet, because the best prunes are fresh prunes.
Testimony to Congress today from a child's eye view, the nation's foster care system for needy children. To hear some of the children and others tell it, foster care doesn't meet the need. Correspondent Deborah Porter reports on what is and isn't being done for some of America's youngest and most troubled.
They took about almost 5 years away from my life, and I'm only 12.
Boyd is a foster care veteran. He's back with his mother now, but he told a congressional committee today he remembers all too well the abuse he suffered.
That lady, she smacked me and then she put me in hot water. And it didn't feel good. I feel like doing that to her.
Almost 500,000 children each year spend time in foster care that is often anything but caring. And the numbers are growing at an alarming rate. Kids whose families are homeless, whose parents are on drugs, who are abused or neglected at home. Child advocates say the system is swamped. Rarely are cases reviewed. Adoption is seldom an option, and the children are the ones who suffer.
They're moved from home to home. Their ability to form relationships with adults is destroyed, so that we are breeding generations of psychopaths. Children are being left at home without services, and they are dying.
Foster parents say these cases are the exception.
But I thank God that we have more good foster mothers than we do bad. And if the kids would behave, you wouldn't have to move around.
But the children see themselves as innocent victims of an inflexible system.
I had to deal with a great deal of rejection all my life, and I still get upset thinking, why everyone rejected us. It hurts so much.
8 years ago, Congress passed a law that was supposed to protect foster children. But child advocates say it's not being enforced, and unless some teeth are added, millions of dollars and more kids' lives will be wasted.
They get so used to so many mothers. So many mothers. It's not funny.
Deborah Potter, CBS News on Capitol Hill.
Unlike a lot of high-fiber cereals, Fiber One is now low in sodium and has absolutely no added sugar. And no cereal has more fiber. Get more of the fiber your body needs and less of the stuff it doesn't.
Captain, this itchy rash is driving me crazy.
Why didn't you use the Cord-Aid?
Cord-Aid goes beneath the skin to actually heal itches and rashes.
You know, itches and rashes won't last if you use Cord-Aid first.
Suddenly, homes all across America are opening. They're opening for Coldwell Banker's annual Spring Open House celebration. More homes than ever before, so you're sure to find the one that's right for you. Just call your nearest Coldwell Banker office. But hurry, spring doesn't last forever, and neither does our open house celebration. Coldwell Banker, expect the best. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Constipation is disaster, and that's the honest truth.
Jean Wright talks about constipation and Dulcolax laxatives.
I can depend on Dulcolax because it takes care of my constipation problems in a gentle, easy way. My doctor suggested that I try Dulcolax, and I did, and I was very happy.
Dulcolax suppositories can work in 15 minutes to 1 hour. Dulcolax tablets predictably overnight.
I wake up in the morning, and I get complete relief. Dulcolax brightens my day.
There is debate tonight over Monday's Oscars Academy Award ceremonies. It centers not on who won or who lost, but on one actress's message and words some insist were better left unsaid. Eric Ingberg has our report.
Marlee Matlin, deaf since childhood and Oscar winner a year ago, chose this year's Academy Awards to reveal her secret.
The nominees for Best Actor.
She has been taking speech lessons for 6 months. She told reporters after the Oscar show that she plans to play speaking roles in future movies.
I did it because I want to do it. I feel that if I spoke before the public, before tonight, I would not have been easily understood by you.
Matlin became both a star and a heroine to the deaf community with Children of a Lesser God.
Only stupid hearing people think that deaf people are stupid.
Playing a woman who fights efforts to teach her to speak, she illuminated a key issue in the deaf community. Many deaf people feel pressure to teach them to speak is wrong because it weakens the acceptance of sign language. At a time when a new activism among the deaf has been spotlighted by demonstrations at Washington's Gallaudet College, Matlin's decision was bound to be controversial. Some feel she should have combined words and signing.
But I'd appreciate it that she could speak and sign at the same time. She's talking to both audiences, hearing and deaf.
And some educators expressed concern Matlin's decision to seek speaking roles will hurt other deaf actors.
It's hard to find roles for them. And I'm just worried about that this will perpetuate the stereotype.
But her speech teacher says Matlin is actually breaking negative stereotypes.
Now, she's not just regarded as the deaf actress. She's regarded as a qualified, wonderful, fabulous actress.
As for Matlin, she wondered today, why all the fuss when she's done nothing more than demonstrate that deaf people, like all people, are not all the same and should be left to walk their own path. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Washington.
And that's the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather. See you tomorrow. Good night.
You've probably heard about pain relievers that sound new, but they're not new to hospitals. For years, hospitals have known about ibuprofen, aspirin, and Tylenol products. And today, their overwhelming choice, Tylenol. In fact, last year, they dispensed Tylenol 10 times more than the leading aspirin and ibuprofen brands combined. If hospitals use Tylenol most, shouldn't your choice be Tylenol too? Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
What? I can get my picture on the Wheaties box? All right! Just like the big boys.
Or the bigger boys.
Look for details on the Breakfast of Champions. And picture yourself on a Wheaties box. Go tell your mama, what the big boys eat.
You're on your way.
Kids and science can really get together in the right kind of place. So Dow has developed and funded the Touch Tech Laboratory here at Impression 5 in Lansing, Michigan.
In this particular experiment, we're going to make a solid out of two liquids.
It's a hands-on museum that puts the wonders of science at a child's fingertips.
Here you go, PJ.
And who knows what that could lead to.
Dow lets you do great things.
A gentle guarantee. X-Lax is guaranteed to work gently by 8 a.m. when taken at bedtime or your money back. A promise you can count on. X-Lax, guaranteed complete relief by 8 a.m.
I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Kathleen Sullivan. Tomorrow, baseball's balk rule.
Honored with television's most prestigious award, the Emmy for Nashville's most outstanding newscasts. Channel 5, Eyewitness News.
Coming up on Eyewitness News tonight, a tense and terrifying hostage situation in Nashville this morning. We'll tell you how it happened and how it ended. Plus, police make an arrest in last month's triple murder. We'll tell you how they came up with the evidence that led to today's arrest. These stories and more coming up next on